If you want to, Emily, today's video is going to be a book unhaul. I feel like I'm overdue. I did one last year and I've accumulated a bunch of books that I either don't care for or I'm not planning on rereading, and just they're taking space on my shelves, and clearly I'm starting to lack some space, and I'm planning on actually reorganizing my bookshelves eventually this year. So I thought I would just make some space. So in no particular order, I'm going to be quickly mentioning the 35 books I'm planning on getting rid of right now. So first books I'm going to be unhauling are these two, the second and third book in the Grisha trilogy. Yeah, by Leigh Bardugo. So Siege and Storm, and then we have Rune and Rising. And I'm keeping the first book because I liked it and I feel like I kind of want to have a copy to just show, which is Shadow and Bone, by the way, I didn't mention it. I liked the series, but I thought the first book was the best part of it, and I don't think I'm going to be rereading it. So I'm keeping the first one just because, I guess. Maybe I could get rid of it, but I kind of like to have it just so I remember that I did enjoy it. But I just don't feel like I need to keep the two other ones. They're taking a space on my shelf, so I'm going to be getting rid of these and keeping the first one. This one is going to make a few people, I mean, shouldn't be angry, but I feel like it's going to bring out some emotions out there. I am getting rid of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I didn't care for it. I've already been super vocal about it. I am keeping the second book because I would reread it. I actually included in that video that I did about all books I would reread, so I'll link that. But I just didn't like it. I'm not planning on rereading it. I've read the third book and I'm decided afterwards that I'm not planning on continuing the series, so I just don't want to keep this on my shelves. So hopefully someone else will find it. I'm going to be giving my books away to my library and they're going to sell them and make money to, you know, buy more books for everyone. So hopefully someone will be super excited to see it there for really cheap, and they're going to love it because I just, Another YA book, because clearly I have a few on my shelves that I didn't care for. The Unbecoming of Mayor Dyer by Michelle Atkin. And do I really need to say more about it? I included this in my worst book of 2017, which I'll link if you want to see a very angry version of me just saying everything I hated about this book. But this is like literally all the cliche in YA that I absolutely despise. So if you like seeing insta-love, you like reading about girl hate, and just overall poor writing and just, then this is it. I'm not planning on continuing the series. There was some potential. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I was intrigued. Obviously, I started reading it for a reason. But whenever a male character in a book tells the girl that she's not like other girls, it's just an instant, So I'm getting rid of this and I'm not sad about it. But again, hopefully someone will find it in my library and be super excited about it. So, by the way, all the books on top seems to be YA, but there's a bunch of adult books in there too, so don't worry. It's not a YA hate video. I'm getting rid of The Sky is Everywhere by Jendy Nelson. I much prefer I'll Give You the Sun by her. I love that book, and I made the mistake, I guess, to read this one after. Although I would just not read this one, I would just go with the other one, to be honest. I liked the grief part. In this book, you're following a teenage girl and she's grieving her sister. And there were some great parts in it. Like, I didn't give this like 1 star or something like some of the other ones. I think I gave it like 3.5. So it wasn't a horrible book. It just, I'm not planning on rereading it. And having it on my shelf kind of makes me sad because I much prefer the other book from the same author. So yeah, that's why I don't want it on my shelf. But again, hopefully someone will be happy. I also have 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I feel like, in popular opinion, I liked the book. There was definitely some weaknesses, but I liked it. I preferred overall the TV show, but I'm not planning on rereading it. And again, I think someone is going to be super excited to find it. See, told you there were some adult books. I have The Nest by Cynthia Sweeney. This is a completely unmemorable book. It's a kind of family saga that happens in New York. I believe the mom dies or someone dies in the family, and then the whole family has to, you know, go back to try and like figure out what's going to happen with the will, and you just, you know, it's a slice of life contemporary books, which are usually not my favorite, but I do have some of them that I really, really love, and this just unfortunately wasn't it for me. I kept it for a while because I like the spine and I like the cover, but I'm never gonna reread this, and I really don't care for it. So I wouldn't recommend this to pretty much anyone, like unless you really love contemporary slice of life. I know one of the girls is pregnant, and like if you like New York, maybe you'll enjoy this, but I just meh. I also have a DaSilva Witch by Paula Braxton. It was one of the first books I read whenever I started this channel, and I feel like I didn't hate it whenever I was reading it because I hadn't read a lot of books in a while. And I feel like ever since, I just realized how meh I'm feeling about this. You're following like two different main characters. One of them is like really, really far away, like a Celtic, whatever. Yeah, Celtic times. You're following like a witch, shaman, woman, and then present time you're following just a woman that decided to live in a small village type of thing. And it's not something that I will want to reread. It's not something that will stick with me forever. And I kind of kept it because of the cover, because it's one of the most beautiful covers ever, but I just don't care for it. So I am getting rid of book 2 and 3 of the last Policeman series. I'm keeping the first book because I liked it better than the two other ones, again, I kind of like having the physical copy to be able to talk about and share it, because it is a post-apocalyptic series, and it's not bad, but it left me overall quite disappointed. So I don't want to keep the two other ones. Someone might be happy to find them, but overall, basically the story, there is an asteroid coming to Earth. In the first book, there's like 6 months left, and there's like nothing to do. It's like, it's gonna happen. And basically pure chaos and blah blah, and like every book it's getting closer and closer to the end. So yeah, you're following a policeman. He's trying to solve a mystery, and the first book was good, but then the rest kind of disappointed me, so meh. Basically, I'm trying to keep the books that actually make me happy whenever I see them on my shelves, which makes sense, right? Next book is something I read recently and actually did not finish, and I kind of resent its own existence a little bit. I'm being very dramatic, but Altered Karpin by Richard Morgan. My overall review was just the fact that you're following this guy that's supposed to be, that was like hired to figure out a murder in like a futuristic world where if you're rich enough you can like buy a new body and just live forever type of thing. And he was kind of forced to solve that murder, and he's supposed to be like that oh my god amazing guy, but then he's put in a body and he's acting like he's 15, like raging hormones, and just like he's literally interviewing the woman that her husband was killed, and he's technically still alive since they just switch body type of thing, but he cannot stop staring about boobs, and you hear all about her boobs and his dick getting hard, and it's just not necessary for me. It's just like, do you feel the need to include that because you know the rest of the book sucks? Like, so I just have a strong opinion about it. I'm still planning on watching the show to test it, but I've been warned that it's pretty much the same thing. So we shall see how I feel about the TV show, but yeah, the book, I just don't want it on my shelf. So I have a few thrillers and like mysteries type of thing that I'm not necessarily planning on rereading. So I have this one. This is My Sister Rosa by Justine. L'Arbalestier. Justine L'Arbalestier. That sounds super French, so I'm gonna say it in French, but I believe the author is Australian or something, so she's not French. The premise of this book was really intriguing. I actually read this once again kind of early when I started my channel, and I didn't have as many books to compare it to. I feel like if I were to reread a bunch of those books from 2016, I would probably give them a much lower rating, in my opinion. And this is one of those, I believe I had given it 4 stars, and I would most likely reduce it to 3 now. You're following a teenager, and his sister is a psychopath. He's just spending his life trying to control her and prevent her killing people. So that part of the story I enjoyed, even though like might not be super realistic, but I enjoyed it. But I didn't really care for the romance in it, so yeah, I'm just gonna pass it along. I'm sure someone is gonna really enjoy this, and the cover is pretty, but I'm getting rid of this book, which I know. I'm getting rid of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which is a murder mystery, and it was fine. I feel like that's usually the review of people is like, mind-blowing, I didn't see it coming, and blah blah, and like, I did not know who was going to be the killer, but I'm not planning on rereading it. I was just not impressed, I guess. I guess it's just not for me. If you don't know, I feel like everyone should, but there's like 10 people that are on an island or stuck there, and then they're starting to die one by one, and you have to kind of try to figure out who's the killer. I'm getting rid of 2 books from Claire McIntosh. I read I See You and I Let You Go. If you only read one of these, I would recommend going with I Let You Go over I See You. They were both fine. It's just I'm not planning on rereading them. And I feel like with this one, I mainly had a few issues about the twist. I didn't like how it was done and the reasoning why. I can't really say much more without like spoiling it. But if you have read it, you might understand what I'm talking about. I do really like the cover, but again, I'm not planning on rereading it, so I'm sure someone, again, super happy to see it, like most of these books. And I Let You Go, I would possibly reread it, but I'm not like in a rush, and if I really need to, I can always get it from my library. It's just that it wasn't my favorite one, and I'm kind of trying to reduce my shelves to only the books that I'm like loving. And yeah, I feel like a lot of like thrillers, mysteries are all about moms, and I can't really relate. I'm not a mom and everything, although I say that, and then I loved Big Little Lies, and you're following a bunch of moms. But I feel like more and more thriller mysteries are starting to be really like catering to moms, which I guess makes sense. It's definitely a group of people that will be interested in those. It's just that to me it starts to feel a little repetitive, like the whole like mom that drinks a lot, which is kind of okay. So yeah, both of these were about moms, so I feel like that came out a little wrong, so just pretend that never happened. Another one that I'm not planning on rereading is In a Dark Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I love the cover. It's just that I actually enjoyed it. I believe I gave it 4 stars. It's just that I can't remember most of it, and that's kind of like, if it doesn't stuck with you, did you actually, well, you might still have liked it a lot, but I'm just realizing I barely remember anything except that people go to a house. I believe they were invited, and the girl loves to run. That's pretty much all I remember here. I am planning on reading more books from her. Actually, I read one recently, and I'm enjoying it, but they're not my favorites, so we shall see. Maybe I will read one of them and love it. So I have The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. This is kind of a classic. I feel like a lot of people really like this book. I'm just not planning on rereading it. I decided to actually read it, was it last year? Because I had read it in high school and I didn't really speak English at the time and I didn't understand anything, and I wanted to reread it to realize how much went like way above my head, which is most of the story. I do think it was pretty. It's just, again, not planning on rereading it. Same thing with The Giver. Exactly the same thing. I had to read it in school, in high school, and I understood. I specifically remember not understanding anything because we watched a movie of The Outsiders, but there was no movie at the time of this one, but I think it's good. I don't like the ending, and I know that technically the author decided to write afterwards 3 other books. I'm not sure they're going to be worth it, so I might just leave it at that. It was good. I would recommend it. It's a really short dystopian book, but not going to reread again. There are a few books that I did not read that I'm not planning on reading. Usually I tend to just get rid of the books that I already read and didn't care for, but I guess once in a while there might be some books that I haven't read and I'm yeah. You have The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. A movie has been made. I haven't watched it, and I feel like in between reading the book and watching the movie, I would watch a movie instead, which I never say that. But I didn't realize exactly what it was about whenever I got it for, like, I bought this used, and I didn't realize that it's like pretty much a love story slash something about a baby. Like, a woman adopts a baby she finds in the ocean, whatever, floating, and drama. I don't really care, so. I'm also getting rid of The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. If you like slice of life book, you will most likely enjoy this one. It's fairly short. You're following, I believe, 4 different teenagers that live in Alaska. And again, slice of life. I actually ended up enjoying this, but since it's not really my favorite genre, I'm not necessarily planning on rereading this, but I do think a lot of people would really like it, and the cover is also really pretty too. But I'm not going to keep it just because it's purple and it works really well in my rainbow shelf. This one I read last month, and if you want to listen to me complaining about it in detail, you can watch my May wrap-up, but Run by Blake Crouch, and actually Good Behavior by Blake Crouch. I loved Dark Matter and the Weirwood Pines trilogy by Blake Crouch, same author, and that's kind of why I bought a few of his books, and I wanted to read them all because he's really great at writing sci-fi thrillers. You will definitely feel like kind of stressed reading it, like keeping you at the edge of your seat. He's really great at that. However, the main complaint that people have in the ones that I liked is the writing is not the best. It kind of reads a little bit like a movie. And I didn't have an issue in those ones because it was still like written well enough, and I feel like the premise was good enough that I didn't mind. These are like some of his earlier books, and I hated them, especially this one. Actually, this one too. This one is technically 3 short stories that became a TV show, which is also called Good Behavior. I still have to watch that to see if it's better. But this felt like a skeleton of a story. Actually, this one too a little. There was just not enough substance to it. The characters were bad, the writing was bad, the dialogues were painful, and I just didn't really care. I didn't feel like satisfied at all when I was done with it. And this one, I literally resent its existence. I just think this should not exist. That's really harsh. But like, I was reading some of the reviews and so many people gave this 5 stars, and I'm like, did we read the same thing? I love post-apocalyptic books. This is one of them. The writing, the characters, the dialogues, like absolutely painful. Like I would have trashed that book, literally burnt it, as someone that would never do that to a book after 50 pages. If I hadn't loved some of his other books, like I would have never finished this book. And it's a short book, there's less than 300 pages. I would have never finished it without having read more of his books before. Long story short, some people see Aurora Borealis in the sky and they go absolutely insane and start killing people. And there's just no logical reason, nothing is explained, the ending absolutely sucks, and like I said, writing, character, dialogues, horrible. So I would not wish that to anyone, so no. I sound like a biatch saying that, but like, painful. I'm also getting rid of Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. This is a YA book where a young teenager relives the same day over and over again, and every night she dies, and she's trying to like figure out what's going on, why is she reliving the day type of thing, basically until she like gets it right. And I actually listened to this as an audiobook. I would recommend doing that because I'm not sure I would have finished it or enjoyed it as much if I was reading it. So audiobook is the way to go here. And I'm not planning on rereading it. It was fine. I like the premise of people, you know, reliving their lives or their day. And this was a good YA version of it. It just not my favorite, not something I'll reread. And once again, I do think that someone's gonna pick it up at this library sale and just love it. So there is a movie which I've not been able to finish. I watched a few minutes. I was like, can't do it. The next one, people are gonna hate me for it, but let's do it anyway. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I love Lord of the Rings, but I didn't care for this. I tried to read the book. I tried to listen to the audiobook. I was bored. I literally skipped a little bit towards the end to just finish it. Yeah, I know. I am getting rid of Brain on Fire by Susanna Cahalan. And it's a nonfiction about this woman. Yeah, basically a 24-year-old, she wakes up alone in a hospital room, strapped to the bed and unable to move or speak, and she has no memory of how she got there. And it's obviously a true story. And it was interesting. It just felt like it was a fairly short book. There's like 250 pages and it was repeating itself a lot. Like this could have been a very, very short book and it was kind of stretched. It was interesting. I'm not gonna reread this. I just didn't love it enough to keep it, basically. Another nonfiction that I read recently and really didn't care for is The Sixth Extinction by Elizabeth Colbert. I feel like this is kind of a mixed review type of book. People either really like it or hate it. I was just very meh about it. It was kind of boring. I feel like the first 45 minutes of the audiobook was you learning about rainforest frogs, which, I mean, they're pretty cool, but it was kind of not what I expected. And at one point during the book kind of got to a point where I was kind of mad at the author. I feel like these type of books, the nonfiction about like, oh, going traveling toward around the world and kind of discovering blah blah blah, like whatever the subject is, and this one being like how everything is going to shit right now and like a few different species are disappearing over like for several reasons. And in this case, I didn't like the author, which is kind of what makes it or break it in my opinion. To support my point, at one point she's traveling to a certain place, I don't remember if it was a museum or something, and she asked a girl at the gift shop to give her a tour, like that's her job, and the girl at the gift shop just tells her that she's busy, and the authors write in her book that as far as I could tell, we were the only ones there. And my opinion is still not her job. So I mean, you can think these things, but writing it in the book kind of comes off a little like passive aggressive in my opinion. I'm getting rid of this book. This is The Sudden Appearance of Hope by Claire North. I went into this book kind of expecting more of a sci-fi, and it's more of a like contemporary / literary fiction with like, what's that word? Flow of consciousness, whatever the real word is. It just wasn't for me. You're following Hope and while growing up, things start getting weirder and weirder, and then eventually, like, people start forgetting about her, even her parents. Whenever she's gone from the room for like 30 seconds, people forget her existence, so obviously makes things complicated for her, and she becomes a thief. And there were some interesting bits, but like I said, it's more the writing, which was beautiful. It just, I was kind of bored, so yes. Don't go into this expecting a lot of action. Even though there's some, but not my favorite book from the author. This is Dusk or Dark or Dawn or Day by Shannon McGuire, the same author as the Wayward Children series. The first book is Every Heart a Doorway, which I liked more than this. I am not planning on continuing the series. I feel like very often her books kind of feel too short, like there's not enough substance to them. I love the premises, but not the books whenever I actually end up reading it. This one does happen in New York. You're following a girl, she's dead, but then she's not really dead, and she can give and take times from people's life, and it's a little confusing. And yeah, I like the premise, didn't really care for the book. I'm getting rid of this series. I believe it's going to be a trilogy, but I read the first 2 books. The first one was better than the second one. Second one made me just want to not continue the series. The first one is Witches of Lynch Ford by Paul Cornell. The second one was The Lost Child of Lynch Ford. You're following a group of women, 3 different women in a small village, and then like paranormal things are starting to happen, trying to take control over the village, which interesting premise, but again, kind of short. I feel like too often short stories, short books are not done well. Like sometimes they're done really well and you're satisfied and everything, and I feel like wasn't the case here. I really didn't like the second one, so. And then last but not least, I decided to get rid of a bunch of the books that I got in book subscription boxes. I decided to not accept them anymore, and because like 99% of the time I just don't care about the books that I receive. I've seen other people get books that I'm like, oh, I wish I had received that one, but whenever I accepted to have some sent to me, which I'm not like here to be ungrateful or anything, but it's just that I am not going to read them. Like I'm excited whenever I get them, but then I realized when I watch reviews that all these YA books are very, very average, like nobody loves them. So I have 5 of them, which are just all going to go to my library. I have The Walking Land by Kelly Bates. I have The Sandcastle Empire by Kayla Olson. I have Song of a Current by Sarah Tolkser. New World Rising by Jennifer Wilson. And I have Words on Bathroom Walls by Julia Walton. So if you have read any of these books and you absolutely love it, feel free to try and convince me in the comment section if you want to, that I should keep them, basically. Otherwise, they will be going to a better house, someone that will be excited about them, because I have had them for a while on my shelves and I don't think I will be reading them. Maybe I could do something like a try chapter book tag Unhaul edition with these ones, maybe. Let me know if that's something you would be interested in me doing. Actually, I need to do more, just try book tag chapter. I love that tag, but I need to pick up what type of books I'm going to be doing that with. But yeah, I just don't care for them, so So those are the 35 books that I'm unhauling that will be going bye-bye to my library sale. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section what books you have unhauled in the last year. Are you someone that likes unhauling books? Do you like to just hoard them all? Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It helps other people find it. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss any future videos. I will be putting on the screen other videos that I've done that I recommend and check out. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.